Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning into my latest upload. I really appreciate it. And I hope you're all doing well. Apologies for the lack of content that's been posted over the last couple of months. As I'm always saying, you need to pick your battles. It's good to be back though. I've done I've done a radio station interview this morning, and it's been the first one in a wee while that I've done. It was obviously to do with regards to the DWP benefit cuts and what my thoughts on it were, which was quite handy because I've actually been doing the research this week and looking into that to see exactly what they've been saying about it, and it's just more of the same, isn't it? Just before I continue though, I've not actually had the chance to do this. I wanted to try and do it on the 1 year anniversary. Unfortunately I didn't get round to it. It was just to thank everyone just over the last year. It was definitely one of the crazy positive years I've ever had. Like people's comments, the emails that you get sent, the messages on Instagram, things like that, just messages of support and like people thanking you because they've watched your videos and they've used the terminology or the processes that you've obviously enlightened them to. They've used it to their advantage and gotten the benefits that they're entitled to, or their rightful entitlement, which is obviously an issue with the discrepancies that's on there with regards to deductions that have not been agreed on by both parties. The illegality of it, because that's what it is. Because by law, again, you need to obviously be notified by letter if you owe the DWP any money. So when people start coming back to you and saying, "Look, Alan, thank you," without your videos, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It honestly makes it worth it. And I said at the beginning, it was never anything to do with money. And when people are telling you that you've helped them, then that, in my opinion, is far better than money, because you can always earn more money. What you don't always get is people's respect. So when you do actually get it, it's a really good thing. And I mean, some of the stuff I've been sent in the post, I've been sent gift cards, products to try, cash, books. It's been insane. The donations that's been sent on PayPal as well. I honestly can't thank every single person, and even people that didn't donate. Just even the comments you've given was enough to keep me going. So I just want to thank you for that, and I'm going to start taking this, try to take it a little bit further. I know I've been saying that for a wee while, but it's I'm a bit of a procrastinator still. I'm not going to lie to you. Eventually it happens. I get up and get on with it, and that's what I'm doing here. So with regards to these benefit cuts, now when I'd seen this the other week there that they were doing this, my first thought was, like when I was doing that job and seeing the struggles that people were going through even then, with regards to the indiscrepancies that I've mentioned, unsanctioned benefits, because that's what they were. Well, they were sanctioned, but they just weren't agreed upon, an unofficial sanction, if you like. And I've done a video on it as well, on how much money they would have been saving from that. But I could see the plight of people. Even the people that didn't have deductions on there were struggling to get by, but the ones that did, it was just even worse for them. And I thought, so that's the way it's already set up with regards to the service, the payments being wrong, all of it. And now they want to start removing another 6 billion from that. Now I listened to an interview with Esther McVeigh. I don't know too much. I've heard her, like, I don't know too much about her, but apparently she worked with Ian Duncan Smith when he was the head of the DWP. And she had stated like that any time they were going to try and cut benefits, the only time they could do that was if people had the jobs to go into. So if you say to a group of people who have maybe been not well, or been out of work, out of action, right, actually what we're going to do is we're going to try and restructure this and start getting you back into work. That's fine if it's feasible. But when you consider the fact that there isn't any jobs to put people into, then what's that going to do? It's not going to push them into work, it's going to push them into poverty. So you can't have both. You can't have benefit cuts and low jobs. Now, when you add to the mix the fact that there's record numbers of people, migrants, asylum seekers, coming here. That's another aspect of it, because you can't have a welfare state and an immigration policy. It just, not one like this anyway. It just doesn't work. You can't have both, and that's understandable. But like I say, I mean, where else are people going to end up but in impoverished situations if you've not got jobs to put them in? I mean, they might as well just starve people and throw them in the streets and be done with it. Because, and that might sound a wee bit harsh and maybe a wee bit naive, and I'm only half joking, because what's it going to take for people to see that this agenda is being pressed forth like it's, because at least if they started doing that, you would know, you would be more aware of where you stand. Although how people aren't aware of where we're at the moment with regards to this is absolutely beyond my comprehension. Now, as you watch channels like Talk TV and GB News and all that other shite, and like they sit there and they'll say, oh, this can't be sustained, which it can't. What's going on? We're just an open door for everyone, and da 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 da. And it's like, well, and then they start coming out with, well, it's like if it's maybe been planned. I don't want to sound too conspiratorial, and it's like, but it is conspiratorial. It has been planned. It's been in the planning for a long time. It's, as I've used the analogy before, they're moving these people into position much the same way as you do in a chessboard. Now, that is why it's open borders, because they want as many people in an encapsulated and enclosed in a small spaces, as small a space as they can. Think of the ghettos in World War II, and it's going to be run off the AI system that 5G's already been rolled out about. And I've got 3 videos coming, this one and another 2, and that's definitely one of them, because it's being rolled out. So it's not going to stop. It's only going to increase. Now, there's a lot of people obviously that are against immigration, and I am now as well. Asylum seekers and immigrants are 2 different things, obviously. And again, if you're an asylum seeker, that's fine. You can come and live here. We'll help you. We'll protect you. You'll try and get your life back on track. But if you've came here from France or Germany or wherever it is, I think the first thing should be is like, well, what country are you from, mate? Well, I'm from France, right? Tick. You're going back, and that's it. This right to remain system that they've got in place is that they know that they're going to get to stay here. And when you consider it's all Talk TV and GB News and all the rest of them can talk about, and like people overseas will be well aware that the people of Britain they've really had enough of this, which we have, and it's only going to be a matter of time before they're going to have to close the gates. So what does that do for the people that are already overseas? Well, I'll tell you what it does. It pushes the panic button, and then they start to, they'll start to rush things, and the more people that rush, the more people that see it are going to rush, and thus the more people are going to arrive here, and it will continue. And that's, like I say, I'm not saying it shouldn't be spoken about, but they'll be well aware of the fact that everyone is speaking about it. And it is just a matter of time. So like I say, they're going to do whatever they can to get here, and it's a real situation we're in, because when they do get here, the first thing they obviously do is go the right to remain, and then they apply for universal credit, and then once that's sorted out, they then request a UC50 health questionnaire, which is to get on what's known as the health journey, to obviously get a work capability assessment, to then get limited capability for work and work related activity. Now, I've said it quite a few times, no other country runs a benefit system like that. It doesn't exist, those type of sickness benefits, why they're coming here. And I've been told that by people, that's why they're coming here. However, if you've came here and the first thing you do after requesting your universal credit appointment is to ask for a work capability assessment or to get on a quest for one, then I don't think anybody should be, because at the end of the day, if someone asked me for a favour and I'd run a wee test, well, would that person do that for me? And if the answer is no, then my answer has to be no. It's principle. So, right, okay, you want to come here and get sickness benefits. What country are you from? Let's say Lithuania. What are their sickness benefits, right? Can I go there and get them? Can Britons go there and get them? No, they can't. Right, well, I'm sorry, you can't come here. And anyway, you've not contributed to our economy. And by the looks of things, it doesn't look like you're going to contribute to it. And that's not true of all of them. But that would definitely be a deterrent. No more sickness benefits. Because you can get away, with everything, it's a working wage. So that would be one deterrent that I would obviously do. Because it needs to be. I don't see why. Even benefits, we would struggle to get benefits in another country. We travel, we've got to go and get a job. It's as simple as that. But yet people are seeing this as a working holiday and gaming the bloody system. And it's not that. Even the issues with the work capability assessment, most of it's done over the phone now. Now, how can you read somebody's energy over the phone? And this, excuse me, this is obviously why. And it always transpires that the people that need it the most struggle to get it, and the people that don't get it. And I would say doing these bloody interviews over the phone I would say at least cut that by 30 or 40%. Because, right, if someone comes in, right, and they're in genuine pain, you would, as an assessor, because you're doing that job daily, like I used to do on the phone, you speak to people, you get to know what people say in the words, and you can sort of suss them out. It would be the same with this. So as soon as they come in, they would be able to bloody tell if they were in genuine pain. And if they weren't in genuine pain and they were trying to fake or act like they were in genuine pain, then it would be obvious to the assessor, because this person obviously wouldn't be a very good actor, which would then obviously tick the box to say, well, no, we don't think this person is sick enough for this. But if you're doing that over the phone, there's just no way you're doing that. You're not reading an energy field over a phone. You can maybe obviously use the brain's linguistical disposition for the words that they use and sort of gauge them out that way, but that would only go so far. And this is people are always using bad. It's mental health and depression, isn't it? That's being used quite a lot. And social anxiety, and I looked on GB News, and they'd done a bloody interview with some people that were worried, that were on PIP, young people like 22, 23, that were worried they were going to lose their benefits because of these new changes. And there was one girl in particular who claimed she was autistic. She might have been. She said why she couldn't go to work, well, she didn't like getting on buses while people were around. She gets social anxiety from it. Well, I used to get social anxiety from when I was overweight and not living my best life, because you obviously know you're not living your best life, so you try and avoid people, and you get socially anxious. I mean, you see people in the street you've known for years, got to speak to this person, because you're not feeling comfortable with yourself. So how can you be comfortable with other people? Doesn't mean you're autistic. It just means you're not happy with yourself. Now, if us as a society and the woke brigade are striving for people to be 100% mentally sound, physically sound mood, absolutely bang at it every day of the week, every month of the year, that's not going to happen. That's not what this world is. It never has been. It is not now, never has been, and never will be. It's as simple as that. So if you think that exists, then you're a fool. Now, when you look back to the medieval periods, you don't even need to go that far back. I would say the 30s and 40s, 50s would be a good example as well. In fact, when you watch some of these like on the BBC, they done a documentary with these people that like to live in the 40s, and they live their life exactly like that. And like they would use to wash their own clothes and stuff like that, and they just didn't have time to do anything else because they had to do everything manually. So there was no time to get depressed, and within that you were moving your muscles and your body and getting the myokines out into the bloodstream and into the brain so that they act like antidepressants to stop you from feeling down. Now, if I'm an assessor and someone comes in and they say, even if it's over the phone, I don't like going out the house, I'm depressed, and I'm socially anxious and I'm really down, the first thing I would ask that person is, how much exercise are you doing? And if the answer to that question is none because of my mental health, then I would politely say to them, well, that's why you've got mental health problems, because you're not moving your bloody body. If you're going for cheap fixes of dopamine, which that be drugs, alcohol, even sitting on the couch with a Mars bar and a packet of crisps and a bowl of ice cream watching a film, if you do that too often, that's all cheap versions of dopamine. The organic versions of dopamine are exercise, completing goals, trying to learn something new, training the brain or training the brain like a muscle, treat it like what it is, so that you can grow it. Then it's absolute madness to me that these young kids at 21 and 22 are thinking like that, and it's true what they say. They're basically being told there's a whole generation that's being written off because they say they can't go back to work. And it's obviously happened since the lockdowns. That's a perfect example of the comfort zone, people getting furloughed, etc, etc. Now, the girl that I mentioned that was on GB News that claimed she was autistic because she felt socially anxious at getting on buses, the next part of the interview, she was actually sitting painting things and doing activities. And I thought, well, see, this is the thing, right, you can say that you've got your mental health and you don't like being in a certain setting, or you've maybe got a bad back so you can't do manual labour anymore. That doesn't mean to say you have to go and do that. You can find another job that would make it a wee bit easier. But people just want to get on the benefit system because it's easy. And I absolutely get it. I've went into it many times. Working is shite. There's no getting around it. I'm not going to lie to you. But that being said, when I get up on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to go to work, or whatever days it is, especially on a Monday at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's not so bad now, but in the winter, it's just horrible. It is absolutely horrible. The thought of it is, it's like, no one likes it. However, when you get up and get it out the way, and you get your 3 or 4 days or whatever you're doing, and that's it done, the energy that's created on the Wednesday night from that, it's amazing, because you've done something you didn't want to do and get it out the way, and you're obviously paying your way, and you can keep your dignity and buy yourself stuff or whatever. But without me getting up and going through that, I don't get that energy. I still feel, I've been I'm off this week because I've got loads of stuff to sort out, because I'm taking a next step to see. I don't want to say too much about it. I'm going into more detail later, but I've been given an opportunity to obviously to move somewhere else, and I think I'm going to do it. But we need the toil. Without that, you don't get that energy. So I lost my train of thought there. Typical. But this is what people need to understand. That's a version of getting organic dopamine, because you're doing something you don't want to do. Like, you love it. That's what Mike Tyson says discipline is. And like I say, I don't like doing it. I can find joy within work, but it's given the time up. But like I was saying there, I've been given an opportunity where I'm not going to need to do that. I'm going to need to relocate for it, but it's obviously, it's going to require me to do that type of work even less. And that's the thing, it's like, I would never have imagined that opportunity would have arisen, but yet here it is. It's like I made a decision at the start of the year that I was going to start making some moves and start changing things up, and it just took a life on its own, and I can't believe how quickly. But that's what happens though, and if you told me that even 5 years ago, I would never have believed it. But that's what you get from getting up and getting yourself moving and just trying to get to the next level in whatever you're doing. But people they don't want to do that now, because obviously since the lockdowns, they put everybody into the comfort zone. And again, I'm not saying people haven't got mental health problems since that, and I'm certainly saying they've not got physical health problems since that, as I've gone into many times with regards to the shots that were handed out to people, that they were manipulated to take. So of course there is, and that's another aspect of it. And I think that when we are assessing these bloody people, one of the first questions is, even before exercises, have you had any of these vaccines? Because I think we would be able to tell it. We need to dialogue about that. Not enough people are speaking about the problem with it, and that should be another part of it, because there's absolutely no doubt there's people out there that's had their lives changed and not for the better. But when you're hearing news teams writing off whole generations just because they've got mental health problems is absolute bonkers to me. Now, like I say, if you meet them in person, you would be able to gauge, even if they were depressed or try to be deceitful towards you. You just can't. If people even sound different on the phone, I'm sure you'll agree. And then, like, you hear, like that Liz Kendall, man, honestly, like, see her, she looks like a bloody terminal for the planet Zorg. Honestly, I don't disagree with everything she says, but she was claiming that, well, because she was asked, how are we going to provide for people that are genuinely sick? And she says, well, we follow the clinicians and the sick notes. But when I was there, they very rarely followed that. Work coaches would ignore it, basically, and have them coming in for appointments to look for work anyway. So that's not following the clinicians, is it? But again, you can easily go to the doctor and say, look, I'm not feeling really well, I need to be signed off for a month, and they'll do it, no problem at all, because of course they will. So it boils back down to taking responsibility. And if you think about it, right, and I've said this loads of times and I'm going to say it again, if you're a 22-year-old or any age, and you are of sound body and sound mind, and you've maybe just had a wee tough time at it or whatever, but you are then thinking, well, actually, I'm just going to try and prolong this as long as I can and just become lifetime sick so that I can get these benefits. I won't be, but I'll pretend while I'm doing that. A, you're selling yourself short. You're better than that. And B, it's people like that are causing, because this is the excuse. This is what's giving them the excuse to start changing things. That you might get it, but somebody that desperately needs it, that can't go out and earn their own money, won't. And because of people like that, it gives them the justification, and we can't disagree, taxpayers can't disagree, how can they? Because they have to be rooted out. But if you become a decent, responsible person, you would never dream of doing such a thing. Because you'd be thinking, well, first and foremost, it's good for me to get out and about. But secondly, I'm going to be denying someone their rightful entitlement. Not directly, but it certainly gives them the excuse to restructure. Now, Liz Kendall, like I say, she looks like a terminal for the bloody planet Zorg, and I've left her in the thumbnail just to sort of illustrate that thought. And then you'll have heard that Stephen Timms speaking as well, and honest to God, like, these are the people that have you seen this state of them? Like, honestly, I wouldn't be saying that if they didn't talk so much bloody nonsense, but they do. I mean, these people are just put into positions, they're paid their salaries to advance an agenda, and that's what I was saying before when they're sitting on bloody panels saying what's going on. Well, it's the agenda that's going on, mate, and it's time you bloody discussed it, because Agenda 21, net zero, all that stuff, it's all tied in, and it's all coldly calculated, and you need to stop thinking that you're not intelligent enough to understand it, because you are. It's just a case of putting the time into it. And that's Stephen Timms and all. I mean, honestly, like, there's nothing going on there. Like, I mean, he's gone. There's nothing going on there. Liz Kendall, all she does is talk a load of nonsense. She worked for Harriet Harman, apparently. And I mean, that in and of itself is something I wouldn't be disclosing too often, because she was part of the paedophile information exchange and still stands by it today. That was trying to lower the age of consent. So these are the types of people that we're looking to for leadership. And then they're using, like, Donald Trump, which he is doing some good things. He's having some deterrence. But he's also the soft sell. Your Keir Starmers and the likes, they're the hard sell with the woke tyranny. But then they look, well, look at, we'll have Donald Trump, no, but it's still leading to an AI system, like. although I know he had Elon Musk in his administration, apparently there's been a little fallout there, and he's been demoted because he's been quite tired. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but even still, we can stop thinking that these guys are heroes, because they're not. The jury's still out on. I mean, in fact, it's not. We're trying to build on top of a broken system, and it's not going to work. Although they are trying to hack it again with regards to the technology. Like I say, it's coming in the next video. And then, I mean, it's Keir Starmer and all. There's just he just absolute tripe he comes out with on a daily basis. And I mean, I just don't know how. Well, to be fair to a lot of Labour voters, they've come out and said, look, we're sorry for, we are bloody sorry for voting this guy in, because Labour are not what they were at one time either, are they? And then, like I say, I mean, these people that are coming in, they shouldn't be allowed to claim, but Keir Starmer had said it at the time, like, if he gets into power, the floodgates will open, and that's exactly what's happened. But to be fair to immigrants, now they're not all like that. Like I said, we've got a couple in this street. One lives next door over the fence there, Privilege her name is, and she's from Nigeria. And honestly, you could not speak to a nicer, more hard-working person. Now, she works at the local care home, one of the local care homes, and my mother used to work in it, and I mean, I couldn't do that job. I'd rather be in a coal mine, like, but when she came back from it, like, it's such a hard job. She does it 6 days a week. I wouldn't do it, so she's doing it. So there's an example in a Britain not want to do that job, but she would do it. And when my mum came back, I used to, like, the smell it used to be off her, it used to make me boke. It was like she was coming back for a uranium mine or something. And I mean, I've no offence to anybody that does that. Like, I don't want you feeling self-conscious about that. That's just me. I'm just saying it's a very, very hard job to do, and I've got respect for anybody that can do it, because that's one job we need people to do. We need people to take care of the elderly, and she does it 6 days a week and never misses a day, and it's just honestly, like, it's. So there's an example, and there's actually another Nigerian, I don't know him, but I've seen him in the shops a few times, and he works there as well. So there's another example of it. So you can't say that every single immigrant that's coming in here is coming to steal your benefits, because they're not. Because at the end of the day, unless you're getting sickness benefits on top of that, you're not going to survive on a standard allowance with your rent paid, which is why they request the bloody work capability assessment, limited capability for work and work-related activity in the first place. So that's why they do it, because they know it tops it up. And like I say, I've had people that's phoned up to tell me the displeasure on what their payment is. That lady from Lithuania, she was getting near £2,000 a month with her rent, and she said it was despicable, she wanted more. I've also had another guy, I don't know where I can't remember where he was from, he was from Romania. It definitely wasn't the full potato, like, but he phoned me up and he says, he's sat for his hospital prison bread, and rhymed off basically said what payment he needed, which was like £2,500 a month, and then he asked me to write down onto a list to pass to his case manager to say why he needed all this money, and some of the things on there were laughable. He kept asking, have you got a pen and a bit of paper, mate? Aye, mate, sure I have. Obviously I didn't, clean desk policy, but that's the type of people these are. This is what we're dealing with. They're not grateful for coming here. They're coming to take, and they don't want to give anything back, and they've got this entitlement that they can just come here and do that. And when you consider that 25% of sex crimes are actually committed by an immigrant, then that's obviously further reason for concern, because at the end of the day, who is it that's paying for them? Who's paying for the defence of that? Well, we are. So not only are they coming here and doing that to women, and it's true what some people say, that they don't all deserve human rights, but they'll certainly demand their own. And it's a situation we're in, it really is, and how we get out of it is not readily apparent, because I used to kind of look at things and say, we can do this, can do that. Obviously taking responsibility on an individual level, no matter how small it is. And I had this conversation on a radio station this morning, like, and it's it's about taking responsibility. You need to be your own leader. I don't know how many more ways I can say it. And if you're not accustomed to a healthy lifestyle, then you're going to have to try and start getting accustomed, because even if that's just taking a walk for a couple of miles a day or a couple of days a week and then upping it from that, that will start you off. Try and learn. I don't know how many more ways I can say it, but you need to start sort of connecting into your energy and realising why you're here and who you are. And like, we've got the left and the right side of the brain. The left side of the brain's structure, it's limitation, if you like. The right side of the brain's the mad artist. If you're too far either way of them, then you're going to run into problems in your life. It's like everything else, you need to be balanced out. You need to be right in the middle of that, which is roughly about where your pineal gland is. Now the pineal gland's the third eye. That's your ticket out of here. That's the way I look at it. And if you can connect in with that, it's amazing what you can do. And everybody's got one, and it's actually got retinas on it, the same as it's got in your eyes. And I would absolutely encourage anyone to research what it is, because a lot of foods that we eat, fluoride in the water, etc., pasta, it calcifies it, which makes it look like a little bone that goes out. It should just be water that's inside. It's right in the centre of the brain, tiny wee bit, it should just be filled with water. Because what's in our food, it gets calcified, and it blocks your connection to out there. That's your connection to your higher self, to the great beyond. And some of these insights that I get are things that I've been trying to work out for, to come out of nowhere. You just wonder how much of that's got to do with it. It's probably quite a lot. Songwriters, people that are tapping in for creative purposes, it's definitely all done through that. But if you don't know that you've even got one, I mean, what can you do with it? Like, it's the same. I sat and read books for the first 4 years of it, and I was still overweight and all the rest of it. Didn't put any of the knowledge into practice, so it was worthless, really. Like, so knowledge is only power if you put it into practice. And you're part of the same energy as me. Some folk look at me as if, who are you? And it's like, you're part of the same energy as me. You can do it. You'll do it your own way, like, but we are part of the same bloody thing. And no one's special, because everyone's special. It's as simple as that. And once we start realising that, and this is why when you're sitting on a benefit system pretending to be ill is absolute bonkers and madness. I mean, it really is. I can't honestly state. I just can't stress enough how crazy that is. And I mean, that's another thing I looked at as well. Some of the perks that you get, like with regards to the mobility vehicles, and I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. They get help. They get the tax discount. I'm pretty sure I heard one of them say they don't have to pay for tyres, MOTs. They get help with the insurance. All of it. It's just absolute madness. And then you look at some of the other. There's a couple other ones as well where people that are on. I can't remember what level of PIP it was. But they were allowed to take up to 2 companions to the English National Heritage Site. It's like, all right, okay, so my mental health's so bad, and 2 carers, that I need to take my friends with me. And that's the thing. Like, the vast majority of these people, they've not got mental health problems. I'm not saying all, and people have got mental health problems. I mean, I spoke to a guy. I'll go into it in a second actually, but like, that's just absolute madness. That's just taking the piss. There was a guy that I'd spoken to, he was from Liverpool, when I was doing that job, and like the first kind of 5-6 minutes of the call, he was just a normal guy, like just having a conversation. I can't even remember what the conversation was about, and just out of nowhere, he just started breaking down, crying, and I asked, shit, what have I said, mate? What have I said? And he had to apologise. He says, look, mate, I'm really, really sorry. I've got psychosis, and when I'm in a tense stress situation, it comes out. He obviously gets stressed phoning up Universal Credit due to the service that he'd obviously had, and it was I couldn't believe it. So it made me think, well, there you go. If I'd only spoke to him for 6 minutes, I would have thought he was just a normal guy, but yet, and it was quite dark. He kept saying to me that my thoughts were really, really dark, and he broke down crying. Like, they're the people that have got serious mental health problems. Not just because you can't be bored getting up on a Monday morning, or you're maybe not feeling as energetic as you were the day before. I get that, even though I do my workouts. It happens. You've just got to stimulate yourself. You've got to sit bored as well. You can't be 100% happy all the time, as I've already stated. But you also can't use it for a mental health crutch either to get money. listen, they don't make it easy for people to go back to work either when you consider the price of everything. And I mean, these people, the politicians, and they talk about benefit scroungers and we need to restructure this and we need to restructure that. Have you seen some of the bloody perks that they've got? I mean, there was one I'd seen where they bloody bought £2,500 worth of shoes to go to Barbados to listen to Prince William give off some bloody speech. It's like, and that's the taxpayer that's paying for that. I can't help but think that the British taxpayer can't afford to go to fucking Blackpool, never mind Barbados. And yet we're paying for that. It's just absolute madness. And there was just one more point actually with regards to immigration and sickness benefits. I'd seen something that there's actually a lot of people now that are claiming sickness benefits for PTSD because of the stress of the bloody the ferry ride on the Rib across here. I mean, that's just utter bloody madness to me. Utter madness. But back to what I was saying before, politicians calling people scroungers when they're taking that from the taxpayer. There was a couple other things. Let's see if I've got them on these notes. Yeah, here it was £2,500 for shoes for a jaunt to bloody Barbados, right? Foreign Office spent £8,700 in expenses to go, and that was to go to watch Prince William. And then on the same list was the expense. So they'd spent between travel and shoes the better part of £11,000 or just over it. It's just absolutely unbelievable, and that's been paid for by us. And then you think about the energy crisis that we're having, and that's obviously a big part of it. I know people that wrap their bloody pipes up in the winter to stop them from bursting because they can't afford to put their heating on. And that was a huge problem, as I've stated many times in my universal credit videos, where people, it was either eat or heat, and obviously you're going to eat because heat isn't sustenance. You'll heat yourself up with a meal, but you can't do both with just the heat. So, and then not long after I was kind of doing that, but I'd seen that the British gas boss, what's his name again? Just bear with me a second here. Yeah, Chris O'Shea, right, CEO of Centrica, they own British Gas. He received a significant pay package in 2023, including 8.2 million total remuneration, which almost double his 2022 pay, largely due to 5.9 million long-term bonus linked to the company's share price performance. And before I'd read that, I thought, well, because what they've done is he was on a salary of £810,000. They're going to up it by 25%, £245,000, just over 1.1 million. And I thought, well, if you're getting a bonus like that from a company, an energy company, then surely only companies give out such bonuses and rises if that company's doing well. And why is that company doing well? It's doing well because they're ripping everybody off and they've basically turned up the tariff on the heat prices. Now, while we've got some of these people in here, this is the type of people that we are looking up to. It's absolutely unbelievable. And Rupert Lowe put on something about this. He says, this is utter madness. Data I have just pulled out from the DWP, 726,000, sorry, this is to do with refugees. I should have said this earlier, I'll just say it now though. This is £726,000 was spent on refugee households claiming universal credit in 2023. For 2024, it soared to 1.1 billion. That's 1.8% of the total amount of universal credit paid to households where at least one claimant's HRT concluded, that's habitual residence test, concluded they held refugee status, but they're not. The British people are being scammed. Not a penny should be spent on benefits for anyone arriving in our country illegally. Now, when you consider politicians taking expenses, we've got energy bosses bloody taking that money, and then you've got this added to it. And then you think about the energy crisis and how we're sending bloody billions, tens of billions of pounds to developing countries to help them with their climate change issue. And then they want to remove 6 billion from the welfare state while we're sending all our money. Listen, climate change is bullshit. It's been proven by many people. It really has. So that money shouldn't be getting siphoned. It should not be getting siphoned out. Like people like Bill Gates, he was asked not that long ago, Why are you allowed to still fly around? You know what his answer was? Well, I actually donate a lot of money to fight climate change, so for me to fight climate change, I need to fly around the world. It's like bullshit, mate. Honestly, like, when you think about it all, it's like, how much more are we going to take? The expenses in the bloody climate change scam that should get you angry enough. I heard a saying years ago that the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. And I hope it does piss people off, this, because it should. And I'm sorry if I've offended anyone. And I know I'll have probably offended some people that have watched this channel to begin with, that are maybe on sickness benefits. And listen, see if I've said something with regards to like growing your mind, and if you're not actually sick, or your mental health's not as bad as what you say it is, and you can maybe get another job. If I've offended you, that means you know what I've said's true. It's the same, I've seen it many times. That's your subconscious reminding the conscious mind of the lie. That's what that is, because you know it deep within yourself that you can do more. Now that's not true of everybody, but you cannot say that every single person on universal credit that's claiming for mental health problems is doing so with mental health problems. And when you consider that there, and this is another thing why you can't engage in anger for the immigrants, and I'm sorry if it's came across that I am angry, because I'm not with them. And we must not engage in that, because it's not good for you just poisoning your cell like that. That's all you're doing. And just remember that they are chess pieces. Bless them. They're being moved into, they're being used to increase your anger in the fact that you want to blame them for coming here. They're just coming to change their life just as anybody would and should, and that's supposed to be the game here. You're supposed to be to try and get yourself out your comfort zone, and I mean, I bet she's out of her comfort zone doing that job up there, but she still walks around with a smile on her face. She'll not pass anybody in the street or anything like that. So that's what life's supposed to be bloody about, and so we can't hold that against them, because I'm just about to do the same thing as I've stated. So that's fine. It's the world. It's a big world. We need to explore it. But when you're coming here to bloody sit on a couch to watch Netflix, I'm sorry, like, but you're not welcome here. And that's another point when the government comes in and says, oh, we're getting the best in class, the people, the workers that are coming here. Listen, if you need to come here and you need to have your benefits topped up, you're not the best in class. If you need to have your salary topped up with benefits, you're not the best in class, because if you were the best in class, you wouldn't need that. And when you listen to guys who dads were immigrants from places in Europe that came here in the 50s, and they came here and they would set up a business and they made something of it. The one thing they didn't do is look to the state. And I'm not saying, we all need help. We absolutely all need help. Of course we do. But there's a difference between help and being a parasite. And the parasitical nature of a lot of them is it's there for all to see. I've spoken to them like where they're just not interested. I had a guy one day, he'd obviously came over and he would have been about 58, 59, and I think he was from Pakistan, and he'd obviously been told that if you've got health conditions, you can obviously get extra money for it. But the problem was he didn't have any health conditions, and he knew if he attended a bloody assessment that would have been obvious. So he got through to me and he says, look, I'm LCWRA, or I'm supposed to be LCWRA, it's not going through yet, did it? And I says, look, you need to go through the health journey. Oh no, I've been told you don't have to. It's like, well, you do. I can't leave the house. It's like, well, you're going to have to set something up for somebody to come there or get a carer to do it. No, I can't do this. The truth was, all he wanted was the extra disability benefits, and he didn't want to bloody attend any appointments to be assessed, because he knew that if he did, then it would have been obvious that he wasn't obviously sick. So he thought he could just tell people on the phone that he was sick and get the benefits. And honestly, there's hundreds of them. There's absolute loads of them, like, and they're in Britain as well. There's no point saying they're not in Britain, because they are. As I've stated earlier, it's hard to get out of the comfort zone, especially when you've been unemployed for a few years or whatever or more, and you're stuck in a rut. Like, you try to get out of a rut's hard, like, but it can be done. I mean, I'm not trying to trivialise any of these situations, but nobody's ruts. A lot of people's ruts weren't big on mine. I managed to get out of it, and say this all the time: if I can do it, you can as well. And I don't mind helping anybody. If anybody wants any help at all to start on a journey of health or exercise or whatever it is, or to grow yourself, and you can still get in contact with me. It's free of charge. But you've got to take the step. The war's between you and you, and this world's not going to change until we start doing things like that. And I've said it for a few years now that I don't think you can genuinely live a genuinely happy life without doing some form of cardio at least 2 or 3 times a week. And like I say, the current workouts I'm in just now, I plan to do that for the rest of the time that I sort of walk in this realm, because it's for life. It's not just for the summer or for a couple of years or whatever. Like it's for life, and growing yourselves for life. And that is what I've just said there is the complete opposite to sitting in the house and universal credit, hoping for a sickness benefit. Or I mean, the standard allowance is so low in universal credit, you should be motivated to get off it anyway. And the service is so bad that it's a wage in and of itself to get off it. And it's hard for people, I know, because of the energy crisis and the rent. And this is why the government set this up. This is why the universal income's been set up. It's been set up to make it look easier and more attractive than it is to go out to work. Because it is easier and more attractive to go out. And I mean, if like, let's say for example, right, that you have got the whole week to yourself, just you're looking after your kids, and I see us all the time when they turn 16, they're used to the kids' benefits. Well, so it's like their wages. So when that stops, or when you say, right, I actually get back to work, say you need to go and put in 60 hours to be kept accustomed in the same sort of lifestyle, what's the chances of you doing that? I don't think it's very high, and that's the way a lot of people are looking at it. And again, I'm not holding that against you, absolutely not. But if you are going to sit on universal credit, at least try and bloody grow your mind, or read something, or do something productive. I used to get people telling me all the time, I'm going to wait to get back to work, mate, before I get to the gym. And it's like, so you're sitting doing nothing now, and you're not doing anything, you're not doing any workouts, but you're asking me to believe that when you get back to work, you're going to join a gym. Well, after 3 years of sitting on the couch, you think the first month's going to be easy and you're going to go to the gym after that. I'm not saying you couldn't get there eventually, but it's just not, people are just bullshitters, man. And the worst thing is they lie to themselves. And if we do anything at all, if you take anything for this video, stop lying to yourself. And I'm sorry it'll offend people, like, I don't care. It's things need to be said. Life is not just about sitting and getting benefits and hoping that, well, it's okay, I've got my benefits sorted out, so we're okay, I can leave it now. It's nonsense, man. Honestly, it's absolute nonsense. And people often shout about the state of the world, and then you say, right, well, what do you want to do about what you're doing about it? Oh, I can't do anything about it. Well, I used to think like that. There is things you can do about it, because one by one we can change it if you start doing the right thing. Any good person that does the right thing would never, ever try and claim a benefit they were never entitled to. So, again, if you take anything from this, take the fact that we need to take responsibility for our own lives, and no leaders coming to save us. They can't be trusted. If you can't see that now, then maybe you have got mental health problems. I'd like to thank you for watching this latest upload, and like I say, I've got another couple coming. The details of my next plan will be revealed. I'll give you a shout when I've done it. That's how I operate now. So thank you very much, and I genuinely wish you all the best, and I'll speak to you soon.